if there was a world competition for laziness, Mbwa would not only win, he would tell the organizers to bring the trophy to his bed because standing up to collect it was too much stress. He was the first son of Pangum, one of the wealthiest farmers in Bamenda. When I say wealth, I mean serious wealth. Cocoa farms that stretched like green carpets on the hills. Coffee plantations that smelled sweet when the beans were drying in the sun. Palm trees heavy with fruits. The man's name opened doors. If Pangum entered the market square, traders would greet him with respect. Pangum, the pillar of the soil. But for all his success, Pangum carried one heavy burden, his son Mbwa. From childhood, Mbwa showed signs that work and him were enemies. While other children were waking early to fetch water or weed their father's small farms, Mbwa would roll over on his raffia mat and mumble, "I'm the first son. One day, everything here will be mine. Why should I suffer now?" His sisters would rush to school with their books, but Mbwa would stroll behind them, dragging his feet. Sometimes he didn't even reach the classroom. By the time the bell rang, he would be at the stream, maybe skipping ropes with his friends or chewing roasted corn from the roadside. There was a day the schoolmaster came all the way to Pangum's compound. The man was sweating and angry. "Pangum," he said, "your son has not been in school for 2 weeks now. If you don't talk to this boy, he will end up an illiterate too." Pangum felt shame rise in his throat. He called Mbwa and demanded an explanation, but Mbwa just shrugged and said, "Papa, I don't like books. And besides, one day I'll be the landlord of all this land. People will walk under me. Imagine." Market days in Bamenda were like festivals. Traders shouted, goats bleated, eggs lined the road. Pangum's wife and daughters would sit beside a huge lorry that carried bags of cocoa, struggling under the dust of the farm, yet smiling because they knew the money they would be coming back with. Where was Mbwa? You would find him at the wine joint, laughing with his friends, his chest out like a cock about to crow. If anyone asked him why he wasn't helping, he would sip his calabash and reply, "I'm supervising. First sons don't carry loads." By the time his sisters returned home, their legs aching, Mbwa would already be dozing in the shade, belly full of meat and beer. During harvest season, Pangum's compound was always busy. Workers came from nearby villages to help pluck cocoa pods, split them and dry the beans. Everybody had something to do except Mbwa. He would sit under the mango tree, chewing sugar cane, and shout at the workers, "Cut that branch properly! You there! Don't drop that pause there!" He called this supervising, but in truth, he was only wasting saliva. One day, one of the laborers whispered to another, loud enough for Pangum to hear, "This boy is not a farmer's son. He is a visitor in his own father's farm." Pangum's heart broke. He turned to Mbwa, his face hard. "My son, remember this. Sweat is wealth. A man who hates sweat will beg in old age." But did Mbwa listen? No, he only nodded absent-mindedly and continued peeling sugarcane. Pangum was not a man who gave up easily. He called a family meeting afterwards. His wife sat on the stool, his daughters lined the wall, and Mbwa stood there, yawning. "My children," Pangum began, "you see how I've struggled all my life. I built these farms with my hands. I want you to understand that wealth does not last if the next generation hates work." He looked directly at Mbwa. "My son, you are my only son. The others will look up to you. If you continue like this, shame will follow you." Oh. But instead of humility, Mbwa smiled proudly. "Papa, don't worry now. When you are gone, I will take care of everything. I will be the big man." The compound fell silent. His sisters shook their heads. His mother sighed. Pangum's heart grew even heavier. Then came that rainy evening. The clouds gathered quickly, the wind bending the plantain trees, and before you know it, the sky was whipping buckets. Pangum was returning from the market in his old Peugeot 504. The road was slippery, the hills dangerous. As he rounded a corner, his car skidded and tumbled into a ditch. By the time villagers rushed to pull him out, it was too late. The news spread like wildfire. "Papa Ngumi is gone, oh!" Wailing filled the compound. His daughters clung to each other in grief. Even the workers cried, for Pangum had been a generous man. And Mbwa, He wept too, but not for long. While the soil on his father's grave was still fresh, Mbua's mind was already racing. Ah, now I am the man of the house. All this land, all this wealth, it's mine. He strutted around the compound like a new chief, chest high, voice loud. People thought grief had confused him, but no, that was the beginning of Mbua's true color. They buried Pangum under the Iroko tree at the edge of his big compound. The whole village gathered, drums beating, mourners wailing, dust rising like incense. For years, he had been the man whose cocoa beans filled the market, whose name was a shield against hunger. Men carried him on their shoulders as if carrying a whole season of harvest. When the last spade of soil covered his grave, silence sat heavy. Then all eyes turned to his first son. Mbwa, one uncle said, placing a heavy hand on his shoulder. Now, you are the head of this house. Protect your mother. Protect your sisters. Are you hearing me? Remember your father's name. The words were meant as a blessing, but Mbwa took them as a crown. He puffed his chest, raised his chin, and declared loudly enough for half the mourners to hear. Uncle, don't worry. I am the first son. Nothing happens in this house without my say. Some clapped, some nodded, but Mama, standing in the shadow, felt her heart sink. She knew that tone. Pride had already entered her son's bones. It began small. 1 week after the funeral, the family's black Peugeot disappeared from the yard. Mama, I sold the car, Mbwa said casually over breakfast. Mama blinked. Sold? Why now? Your father was just buried 3 weeks ago, Mbwa. Why are you selling off all his things? It's for management purposes, he replied. I am preparing bigger things for us in this family. Don't worry. I will invest the money very well. You women, you don't understand anything about investment. The sister exchanged glances. Later that night, Electa whispered, "Hmm, bigger things for the family. Since when has our brother managed even his own life?" Ngwe giggled bitterly. "Hmm, biggest achievement is sleeping until noon." The youngest banker hugged her knees. Maybe he means well, she said softly, but even her didn't believe her words. Soon after, another document vanished. Then another car. Every time Mama asked, the answer was the same. I am the first son. I can manage my father's property. But the house saw no change, no repairs, no new workers, or even tools. The money melted like butter left in the sun. One night, unable to sleep, Mama crept into Mpangum's old room. She pulled out the drawer where Mpangum kept all his documents. Tears streamed down her eyes as she noticed that most of his documents, his stamp titles, his car documents, most of it were all gone. She went into Mpangum's hidden drawer where he had hid the title documents of his cocoa farm. That was his largest estate and the main source of Pangum's entire business. Pangum kept it differently because of the worth he placed on it. At last, she found it. The cocoa farm document. She held it closely, whispering, Ngum, my husband, forgive me. Your son does not know the value of sweat. I must protect this with my life. She took the documents, hid them in a secret place only she knew, and swore a silent vow. As long as I breathe, the cocoa farm will never be sold. But greed is a restless guest. Weeks later, Mbwa barged into the kitchen where Mama was stirring palm nut soup. His voice was loud, his chest broad. Mama, I've been looking for the cocoa farm papers. Mama ignored him. I think it would be a good idea to sell it, he continued. I already have good buyers that are waiting to buy it. The spoon slipped from her hands, splashing soup on the fire. What did you just say? Mama, I am the first son. I'm not only the first son, but the only son in this house. I decide what happens here. That land will bring us money, oh. And if we sell it, we can all better our lives. I can manage this money and put it in other investments that will help us. But sincerely, no one in this house can hold or manage farm business like Papa, whether you agree or not. Mama's eyes burned.
Mbwa, you have sold your father's cars. You have sold other lands. You have sold all his farmlands, his belongings. Not a coin have you returned to this family. And now you want his heart? That farm, that cocoa farm, is his blood. Over my dead body will you touch it? Ngwe stormed in, her hands still muddy from within. Brother, you call yourself manager. Since Papa died, we have not seen one new leaf, one new roof, not even salt added to this house. Please tell me, what are you managing? Brother, what are you managing? Mbwa's face fitted. Shut up your mouth. You are only a daughter. What do you know about inheritance? Manka, trembling but brave, stepped forward. At least I know inheritance is meant to feed a family, not feed only one man's mouth. It is not fair. Oh. Mama rose to her full height, pointing her finger at him. Mbwa, listen and listen well. You may be the first son or only son or whatever you call yourself. I don't care. But I'm the wife of the man who planted those trees, and I will never release that paper to you. The compound fell silent, broken only by the crackle of the fire. For the first time, the sisters stood united with their mother, their voices louder than Mbwa's boasting. Mbwa sat at the palm wine joint that afternoon, grumbling like a man cheated by destiny. His friend Tazo, who was always broke yet always had ideas, leaned across the table. Mbwa, why is your face long? Mbwa slammed his hand on the table. It's my mother. That woman is proving stubborn. I told her we should sell the cocoa farm. And she's shouting over my dead body, over my dead body. Can you imagine? The first son begging for papers. My own inheritance. Tazo chuckled. Your mama doesn't have joy, you. But my brother, they go about this thing the wrong way. You don't need to beg. All you need is permission. Mbwa frown. Permission? She will not sign now. That's what I'm complaining about since. Tazo grinned, tapping his temple. My brother, she doesn't need to sign. She just needs to appear like she signed. Do you understand me? He said, gesture. Mbwa's eye widened. Oh, you mean forge? Tazo spread his hands. Call it whatever you like, oh. All I know is I have a friend who can make your mother's pen dance even if she's fast asleep. Mbwa hesitated for a half a second, then laughed. Take me to him, please. The next morning, they walked through the back alley of town until they reached a small wooden kiosk, smelling of ink and kerosene. Inside sat a thin man with spectacles bigger than his face. Papers were scattered everywhere. Welcome, welcome, the man said, adjusting his glasses. What business brings you here today? Tazo slapped Mbwa's back. My brother here has a small family obstacle. His mother wants to block his progress. The man raised an eyebrow. Block your progress? Are you sure? Mbwa leaned forward seriously. But I am the first son. It is my duty to manage things as the first son. My mother is holding my father's cocoa farm documents hostage. I need her signatures. The man whistled. That is a sacred hand you want me to copy. Mbwa smirked. Sacred or not, will you do it? The forger stretched out his hand. Bring me something she signed before. Mbwa pulled a crumpled receipt from his pocket. Here, she signed when we bought palm oil last year. The man studied it, nodding. Good. Firm strokes. She is a woman of authority. Authority my foot, Mbwa muttered. The man dipped his pen in ink and with a few flourishes produced a perfect replica on the land document. He blew on it gently like it was a piece of art. There, he said, handing it back. Your mother herself has signed without lifting a finger. Mbwa's eyes shone. Excellent. Wow, you're a true artist. When I send the land, I will come back and build a palace for you. The man chuckled dryly. Palace? Just pay me my fee and leave me before thunder catches us here.
One afternoon, a worker burst into the compound, panting, Mama, come, quick! Strangers are cutting your cocoa trees. Mama dropped the basket she was carrying. She and her daughters ran to the farm. There, they saw men they had never seen before, swinging machetes, clearing boundaries, cutting down trees that had taken decades to grow. Mama's voice shook. She said, "Stop! Who gave you permission to touch this land?" One man straightened, wiping sweat from his brow. "Madam, we bought this land, though." One of the men, who looked like their leader, spoke up. "Your son sold it to us. Look now, your name is here." He held out a paper. At the bottom, scribbled in ink, was her own signature. Mama snatched it, eyes bulging. My name? I never signed this, oh. God in heaven knows my own son has sold me, oh. Her knees buckled. She fell to the ground, wailing. The sisters lifted her, their tears mixing with the dust. That night, Mbwa never came back. His room stood empty, his clothes missing. He had packed his bags and slipped out of the country. No goodbye, no explanation, not even a coin left behind. Mama beat her chest in the compound, her voice breaking in the night. "Ngum, see what your son has done. Your sweat is gone, your legacy is gone, oh." Villagers gathered at the gate, whispering. One old woman shook her head. "Hey!" First son pride. From that day, the compound was quiet. No cock crow, no chatter could fill the silence of betrayal. Because in that silence, a family realized they had lost not just land, but the very heart of their father's house. After Mbwa sold the land and vanished, Mama Ngum changed. The woman who used to shout from the backyard, "Who left this hole here?" suddenly had no voice for shouting again. Her laughter stopped first, then her appetite. Soon even water became a burden. One morning, her right side stiffened and she collapsed on the kitchen floor. A stroke, the doctor said. They tried everything, drips, injections, medications, scribbled on slips of paper, but nothing seemed enough. The girls sold everything left, the chairs, the bed, piece by piece, until even their family house was gone. They ended up in a small rented apartment, its roof leaking whenever Bamenda's rain wept. "It doesn't matter," Electa whispered, clutching Ungwe's hand as they handed over the last bundle of cash. "If this keeps Mama alive, we'll find a way to build again." Mama survived, but she was never the same. She could barely sit upright without trembling. Reaching Mbwa was impossible. His phone switched off, his trail gone. A friend finally told them when they asked him that he had gone to Belgium. One evening, the sisters sat in the hospital corridor. Electa's eyes were swollen with tears. "What do we do now?" Ngwe whispered. "We don't have anything left." "I don't know," Electa said, her voice raw. "Mama's savings are gone. Ours too. And she isn't even getting any better. We have no house, no land, nothing to hold on to." Silence sat with them like a fourth daughter. But Electa clenched her jaw. "We must learn new things. If not for us, at least for Mama. And we also have to train Manka." The next day, she swallowed her pride and went to Mami Sandrine, the neighborhood seamstress. "Teach me, Mami," Electa said. Mami Sandrine raised an eyebrow. Pango speaking? You want so? "Please, ma, is our only hope." And so, she learned. She pricked her fingers until they looked like pincushions. She battled stubborn fabric until it bent beneath her hands. Her first blouse leaned sideways like a drunken uncle, but by the 5th week, women were whispering, "Give wrapper to that girl, oh. She has creativity." Meanwhile, Ngwe hawked Puff Puff through Bamenda streets. She tied a basin of Puff Puff on her head and turned her mouth to radio. "Hot Puff Puff, sweet Puff Puff," she sang, walking past taxis and Okada like a one-woman parade. Children followed, giggling. Some mocked. "See Pangum speaking. She's talking like us." She smiled through it, counting coins at night and pressing her warm palm to Mama's forehead to check her fever. Manka, the youngest, returned to school. She studied like a girl with one candle for a long dark night. Together, the sisters kept Mama alive. They boiled herbs, bought tablets, whispered prayers. Hunger visited though, but it never stayed. Years passed. Manka graduated top of her class, winning awards that shone like borrowed stars. During their convocation, a visiting businessman moved by her excellence pressed 2 million francs into her hands. When she told her sisters, they were excited. They quickly pulled the gift with their savings. Let's start a farm again, Electa advised. They bought a modest plot in Boya. Word spread. Bangum's daughters are starting afresh. Those who once owed their father remembered his kindness. Some offered free labor. A lorry driver carried produce for half the cost. The land answered. Cassava grew from underground, quiet but confident. Maize stood straight like choir members on Sunday. 3 seasons later, the sisters pinned a wooden sign near the gate. Ngum soil and seed. It wasn't only a dream now, it had receipts. Electa counted stock like a banker at month end. Ngwe opened a tiny shop by the rope, sewing school uniforms and selling thread that never finished. Manka signed a cooperative contract that actually paid when they said they would pay. Miracle? No. Discipline. Mama improved like sunrise, slow but sure. One afternoon, she insisted on walking the rows, left hand trailing the leaves, face soft like old music. Your father used to greet these trees, she said. You people have his good madness. By year 5, the farm wasn't crawling. It was running. They hired staff, trained staff, and even had savings alive and well. Then the sisters aimed for the mountain they had been circling in their hearts. Buy back Papa's cocoa farm. By that 5th year, their farm thrived. With savings and steady income, the sisters made one more move. They fought through bureaucracy and bought back Mpangum's original farm. On the quiet morning, they took Mama there. She knelt, pressed soil to her forehead and whispered, Ngum, your children kept the vow. Even the trees seemed to bow in witness. But news traveled fast without feet. One Hamatan evening, the gate of Nguman's soil and seed creaked open and a man staggered in with a bag that looked too light to contain his shame. His cheeks were hollow, his eyes red from dust, and his once boastful voice had become a cracked whisper. It was Mbwa. The same Mbwa who sold his father's land. The same Mbwa who vanished to Belgium, leaving his mother sick and his sisters hungry. Now, he stood trembling in front of them. Electa, Ngwe, Manka, he muttered, dropping his bag on the ground. I have suffered. Europe has taught me a hard lesson. Please forgive me. Please give me a place to stay. I will change, I promise. Silence fell on the compound. Even the farm workers paused their laughter and pretended to sweep, just to hear the verdict. Manka, the youngest, crossed her arms. Her eyes burned like coal. Never. He left us to die, oh. He cannot come back here and start eating food he did not cook. No. But Mama, frail yet wise, coughed softly from her stool. Ngwe looked at Electa. Electa looked at the sky, then at her mother's weary face. Finally, Electa spoke. We will let you stay, but not as a brother. You have to work here, now as a staff. They gave Mbwa a small job, not on the field. He had no strength for cocoros. Instead, they placed him in charge of farm's tiny office, a simple structure by the roadside where contracts were signed and produce recorded. Guard this place, oh, Electa told him firmly. Keep the books. Record every harvest. Show us you can handle that. Mbwa nodded quickly, his eyes bright. Yes, I'll prove myself. You will see now, I'm a new man. Mama smiled faintly. Manka rolled her eyes. For the first week, Mbwa sat in the office every morning, pretending to arrange papers. He even borrowed Electa's pen and scribbled numbers across pages, as if running an empire. But by the second week, things began to change. Workers arrived to deliver baskets of maize, cassava and beans, but Mbwa was never at the desk. Sometimes the door was locked. Other times they found him lounging under a tree, chewing roasted cod and telling stories of his European experience. At first, the sisters thought he was only careless. Then rumors started to whisper. Didn't we send 20 baskets of cassava last week? Ngwe asked one evening. Yes, Electa replied, frowning at the ledger. But the books are only showing 10. What's going on? They investigated quietly. One dawn, Nanka followed Mbwa in secret. What she saw made her blood boil. He wasn't guarding the office at all. He was harvesting produce on his own, loading baskets onto a hired wheelbarrow and selling them at the roadside market for quick cash. By the time Manka returned to the compound, her anger was fire. I told you people, she shouted. He hasn't changed. He's still the same Mbwa. Greedy human being, very careless and selfish. That evening, the three sisters cornered him in the office. Where are the missing crops? Electa demanded. Mbwa stammered, sweat rolling down his forehead. I was only trying to help. I thought if I sold some quickly, I could raise some small money, at least for my upkeep. For yourself. You alone again, Ngwa snapped. This farm fed Mama when you abandoned us. This farm clothed you when you returned with empty hands. Are you still steal from it? Even Mama, gentle as she was, shook her head slowly. Her voice trembled but firm. Mbwa, you have failed again and again. The sisters had no choice. They closed the office, locked the door and told him plainly, please leave. On the morning of his departure, Mbwa sat outside with his bag, the same light bag he had arrived with. His face was grey with shame. The workers ignored him. The sisters avoided his gaze, and even the tree where he used to lean was looking like it was running away from him. Only Mama called him. Come here, my son. He knelt by her side. She opened a small tin box she had kept under her bed. From it, she pulled a folded document, yellow with age. I used my small savings years ago to buy a little farm, she whispered. It's not a big one like this. It's just 2 plots. I kept it secret for a day like this. Take it. Use it to take care of yourself. If you fail again, let it be on your head, not ours. Tears rolled down Mbwa's cheeks as he clutched the paper. Mama's eyes softened, but her words were heavy. You lost your own father's land. You lost your family's trust. Do not lose this last chance. With that, Mbwa picked up his bag, bowed low and walked away, down the dusty road, towards the small farm that would decide the rest of his story. In Bamenda, when neighbors heard the tale, they shook their heads and said, sometimes, the inheritance is not the land or money you are given. It's the chance to prove yourself, to prove that you can carry even a small one. And so, the story of Mbwa's return ended, not with glory, not with triumph, but with a single folded document in his hand and a path only he could walk. Many years ago, in the beautiful and bustling city of Port Harcourt, there lived a man whose name carried weight across the streets. Chief Okoro. His house was the pride of the neighborhood, with tall white gates that swung open and closed all day. Luxury cars drove in with horns blaring, visitors bowed low as they entered, and voices echoed with respect. Hi Chief! Hi Chief! He was a man of wealth and power. He owned a car dealership in Port Harcourt, trucks that made deliveries across the city, and 2 building material shops that never seemed to run dry. In his house lived not only his wife and children, but also his younger brothers, siblings. They had come one by one when they were still struggling, and he had opened his doors wide. Some were schooling, some were working in his dealership, some were just learning life under his wing. To the neighbors, the house looked like a palace. Food never finished. Music sometimes spilled from the compound. People said, Okoro's house is a kingdom of his own. And in that kingdom, his wife Ngozi looked like a queen. She was beautiful, soft-spoken, and respectful. When visitors sat in the parlor, she would come out in her neatly tied wrap and greet them with a small bow. They would always shout, Unyoganye lolo. She would smile softly and bow her head. The men would nod, satisfied. That was what was expected of a chief's wife. To sit gracefully, to speak with respect, to keep the home shining. But Ngozi's heart was not at peace. From the beginning, she had hated sitting idle. The house was always full of men, coming, going, working, earning, building their lives. She too wanted to do something. She had ideas, she had strength, and she wanted her own small business, something she could call her own. Many nights after the children had gone to bed, she would sit at the edge of their big bed and speak softly to her husband. Chief, she said one night, I want to start something now. I want to start a business, even if it's small. I cannot be staying at home all the time, every day, doing nothing. Chief Okoro looked at her like she had spoken nonsense. He chuckled, shaking his head. Ngozi, you better stop that talk. Oh. Do you want people to laugh at me? Do you want them to say, see Chief's wife, she's hawking on the road? Or they'll not say, Unye Chief Okoro is working for somebody. No, now, that cannot happen. My wife is not a market woman. She will sit here, look pretty for me and raise my children. That is your honor. But I feel useless, Ngozi whispered. He frowned. You feel useless? You are the chief's wife. There is nothing useless about that. Leave business for men. Your duty is to be at home. And that was the end of the talk. But her restlessness grew. One afternoon, her childhood friend came to visit. The children were in school. The house was quiet. They sat in the backyard chewing groundnut and gossiping. Nkem leaned close and said, Ngozi, you're wasting your life. Oh. Ngozi sighed. Ha! What do you mean by that? Ha! You here every day, dressing fine, sitting in the parlor. Is that life? Me, I do business. I sell second-hand clothes at Creek Road. It's not easy, but at least I make my own money. I use it to buy these small things. I don't wait for my husband for everything. You too, you need to be doing some things. Ngozi shook her head quickly. Chief will not allow it though. I have begged him. He said no. He said the wife of a chief cannot be selling or doing business. Nkem laughed loudly. And you agreed? Ngozi, listen to me. Men like your husband, they want you to sit quietly. But one day, God forbid, trouble may come. Where will you stand if you have nothing? Do something, even if it's in secret, no matter how small. Ngozi looked down. But how now? This house is full of people. His brothers are all over the place. If I say, let me start frying buns since I learned catering, they will smell it. And his visitors will see and report me to him. Then, don't fright yourself, Nkem said quickly. There is one woman behind Grace Tabernacle. She fries buns and makes zobo every day. She sells to women who want to resell. You can go there, buy, resell at the gate of the church when people are coming out for money payers. Nobody will know. By the time you are done, you can rush home before Chief even returns. Think about it though. This idle life does not work, especially now. That night, Ngozi lay awake. Nkem's words rang in her head. She thought of herself. Years later, still sitting pretty with nothing of her own. She thought of the pride in having even one kobo that she had earned herself. By morning, her mind was made up. The next day, after her husband left for the office, she tied her youngest child on her back, wore a plain trouser, and slipped quietly out of the gate. She walked fast, her heart beating. At the back of Grace Tabernacle, she found the woman her friend had described. The woman's firewood stove was blazing, the smell of fresh buns floating in the air. Bottles of chilled zobo sat in the basin of ice. Good morning, Mama, Ngozi greeted. Good morning, my dear, the woman replied, her hands busy flipping buns in the hot oil. What do you want? I want to buy, Ngozi whispered, looking around nervously. I want to buy and resell. The woman smiled. You're in the right place. How many pieces do you want? And you want zobo too? How many bottles? And that was how Ngozi started. Each morning after Chief drove off, Ngozi hurried to the back of Grace Tabernacle. She bought trays of buns and bottles of zobo, carried them to the church gate, and waited for the worshippers to stream out after early morning prayers. They came hungry, tired, eager to eat before rushing to their offices. They give me 3 buns. Add zobo for me. Quick, I'm late for work. Her hands moved fast. Her baby pressed against her back. Before 10 o'clock, she was done. She would hurry home, hide her money in a wooden box under her clothes, washed her hands, and sat quietly in the parlor. When her husband returned, he saw the same calm woman, the same queenly wife, unaware that she had been a trader just hours before. This became her life. Every day, every week, every month, she saved and saved, counting each note like treasure. And each time her husband mocked her wish to work, she smiled secretly, knowing she was already doing it. 4 years passed, and then tragedy struck. A fire came from nowhere. It began at night in Marine Base. sweeping through shops with angry flames. Neighbors ran shouting. By morning, two of Chief Okoro's buildings were nothing but ashes. Soon after, a second shop collapsed under debt. Suppliers were banging on the gate, demanding for money. Customers refused to pay old debts, and the dealership he had began to tremble. Chief Okoro's shoulders, once broad with pride, bent under the weight. He went to banks, carrying documents, speaking with authority like before, but they shook their heads. "We are sorry, O Chief. We cannot grant you a loan, especially at this time." He called his brothers, the same men who once lived in his house, eating his food, even people he trained in school. He called the one who now owned the famous hospital in the Port Harcourt. "My brother," Chief Okoro said over the phone, his voice low, "please, I need your help. Even if it's just a small loan, I will pay you back. I'm having so many challenges. When I recover, I promise I will pay you back." The doctor sighed. Chief, don't worry. I will send you something first thing tomorrow morning." But tomorrow morning never came. Calls went unanswered. Promises turned to silence. One evening, Chief Okoro sat in the parlor, his face buried in his hands. The house that was once full of laughter was quiet. His children watched him from the corner, whispering. For the first time, they saw tears roll down his cheeks. Ngozi's chest tightened. She stood, went into the bedroom and pulled out the wooden box. Her hands shook as she carried the heavy bundle wrapped in cloth. She walked slowly to her husband and placed it in front of him. "What is this?" he asked, lifting his head. "Open it, Nai," she said softly. He opened the box, untied the cloth which she had wrapped the money. His eyes widened. Bundles of money lay before him. His hands trembled. "Ngozi, where did you get all this from?" Her voice was steady, though her eyes were wet. "From the business I'm doing. I could not sit at home useless. I've been saving the money I get from the business for years now. Take it and use it as the loan so that you will rise again." For a long moment, silence filled the room. Then the high chief, the man everyone respected, broke down. He wept like a child, covering his face. "Ha, Ngozi! Ha, my Ngozi! You have saved me!" From that day, he never stopped her again. He told her, "Run your business. You have done what even my brothers could not do. You are indeed my true helper." But life had more storms. Years later, the wealth drained away completely. He sold his cars one by one. The dealership closed finally. The trucks he had all rusted. And then sickness came. Chief Okoro grew weak. His steps got slower, his nights longer. Ngozi's business became the only lifeline. She fed 8 children, catered for their school fees, paid Chief Okoro's hospital bills, and cared for him day and night. Again, Chief Okoro called his brothers. Again, they promised. Again, they disappeared. Not one, even one, came. It was Ngozi, his wife, who stayed. He carried him, fed him, wiped his sweat until his final day when his strength was gone. He lay in bed, breathing slowly. Ngozi sat beside him, holding his arms tightly. His eyes dim but searching, fixed on her. His weak fingers tried to grip hers, as though afraid to let go. She leaned close, whispering prayers, tears rolling down her face. And then, with his hands still in hers, his eyes closed forever. The house was silent. The children wept. Chief Okoro had left them with nothing. His sickness had taken away all his wealth. Ngozi's chest felt hollow, but she held her head high. Her husband had left this world in her arms, not in the arms of the brothers who abandoned him, not in a hospital where strangers would close his eyes. And the children learned a lesson they never forgot. A man's wealth is never secure if his wife's hands are empty. If Lagos had a queen of skin, forget Queen Amina, forget Cleopatra, it was Ibire. Her skin used to shine like morning dew on fresh ugu leaves. You know that kind of skin that even Nepal light cannot disgrace. That was her own. One small smile from her and half of Lagos would be rushing to buy her creams. She wasn't just fine. She was business fine. She had turned her glow into brand. People didn't even call her Ibire again. Everybody just knew her as Madam Glow. If you wanted to buy cream in Balogu market, you go hear seller shouting, auntie, this cream is Madam Glow's own. Oh, that's what she uses. Check her reel yesterday. Nah, the same thing. And if you dare argue, they will add, do you want to glow like Madam Glow or you want to remain like Nepa Po? Just like that, the prices went up. And Ibiri's name was the receipt. Her reels, forget Netflix. She would tie silk bonnet, sit in front of ring light that could blind somebody, then whisper in voice softer than breeze during Harmattan. Hi Glow fam, today I'll show you how to build your skin barrier. By the time she's done lining bottles like soldiers ready for parade, you will start checking mirror like, is my skin even loyal to me? Brands were chasing her like suitors. PR packages came in treasure boxes. Some came in chests that looked like pirate movies. One even sent her cream inside cooler. Yes, cooler with ice packs. As if it was fresh fish from Bariga market. When she got pregnant, Lagos nearly fainted. Instagram comments under her announcement could fill a stadium. Glow baby loading. Imagine the cheeks on that child. God, I tap into pregnancy and this glow. Even CNN Africa reposted her video where she rubbed her belly with oil and whispered, this glow will pass from me to her. But let me gist you what made it sweeter. The day she called her mama in Yenogwa to announce the pregnancy, that call almost turned into Nollywood film. Mama, I'm pregnant. Her mother shouted so loud from the other side of the phone that neighbors probably thought she had won lottery. Ibiri, my daughter, this child is good news. Oh, that child is a covenant child. Make sure you eat well, rest, and pray. Oh, Lagos must not spoil you. Do you hear me? Ibiri adjusted her ring light with one hand and pressing record button with the other. She smiled. Mama, don't worry, I'm eating well. Her mother hissed so long, the hiss nearly reached the network mast. Please leave all the Oyibo foods. Oh, eat our foods. Eat amala, eat plantain. Plantain never disgraces. But did Madam Glow listen? No. As Mama was talking plantain, she was busy sketching a canvas designed for baby Glow shelf. Pastel bottles, organic balms, captions like, from womb to the world, Glow continues. One evening, she came out of the bedroom, hand resting dramatically on her small bump. Her husband, Tonye, was in the parlor, laptop open, eating sardine and agege bread like a man who just fought Lagos traffic at Third Mainland Bridge. Babe, she began, you know that type of voice women use when they already know they want to stress you. That was her tone. I've decided we are launching Baby Glow Journey. From day one, no rash, no irritation, only glow. Organic baby oil in week 1, French lotion in week 2, diaper advert by week 3. Tony stopped mid-bite, sardine still hanging on his bread like it wanted to jump. From week 3, Ibire, I beg go and sleep. Babies don't need spa treatment. All they need is breast pampers and body heat. But Madam Glow just rolled her eyes. You don't understand. This baby will be brand ambassador before she can crawl. Imagine diaper adverts flooding in, wives collaborations, baby lotions campaign. Tonye, we will cash out, don't you understand? Tonye just sighed, shaking his head. As long as the baby breathes, sleeps and pulls in peace, I'm fine. But I beg, don't turn her into billboard though. That was exactly what Ibere wanted to do. Billboards, campaign, legacy. During pregnancy, Content flowed like December children's clothes. She would wear silk pajamas, sip herbal tea, then caption it, "Pregnancy glow is God's filter." Another day, she tied beads on her belly and whispered into mic, building the skin goddess of tomorrow. Her followers screaming like choir at Shiloh. Meanwhile, Tony was suffering silently. He became cameraman, tripod adjuster, personal massage therapist, even delivery driver for PR boxes. At night, when she was lying on silk sheets, he would whisper, "BB, don't you think you're putting too much pressure on yourself?" She would laugh and tap his head gently like Sunday school teacher correcting stubborn child. "Pressure makes diamonds, eh? But babies are not diamonds. They are human beings. Relax. When you see her flawless cheeks tomorrow, you will thank me." Tonya just shook his head. He was a quiet man, but his silence was louder than generator during blackouts. And that was how Madame Glow built her castle of expectations. She told everybody, "My daughter will be born with glass cheeks, no rash, no irritation, because I will use the best oils for her skin, only dew." And the internet believed and clapped for her. But as we say in Nigeria, a person wey never see life go dey brag say im soup no go sour. Let me no lie. When baby Come arrived, Lagos Instagram nearly shut down. The baby was beautiful. Her delivery announcement went viral like new Davido track. It be reposted first photo. Baby wrapped in cream-colored swaddle, cheeks pink like suya pepper, but innocent. The caption was, "Born glowing." Over 50,000 likes in 1 hour. Comment section, it was an overflow. Everybody was shouting, "Ah, Glow Princess has landed. God, please, just give me one child like this. Now only Madame Glow fit born pikin wey dey do shine from womb." Even Tonye was smiling that day, carrying his daughter like trophy. But you know Yoruba proverb, if you see soup looking too smooth, wait till you stir it. On the 4th day, during one small breastfeeding session, Ibiri noticed a tiny drag patch on Koma's cheek. Ordinary mother would say, "Oh, it's just heat rash." But Madame Glow, she froze like fresh fish. This cannot happen. Not for my baby. Not Kome. She ran straight to her Glow shelf, pulled down imported baby oils, and rubbed it gently on Kome. She even whispered, "Disappear, disappear in Jesus' name. Glow only." By evening, the patch had spread, like it sent WhatsApp broadcasts to his family and friends. By morning, Kome's chin looked like she had been playing in dusty background. Tonye said gently, "Maybe it's heat rash." "Heat rash?" Ibiri snapped. "Do you know whose child this is? Madame Glow's child, having heat rash." She grabbed French balm, rubbed, nothing. Grabbed American cream, rubbed, nothing. She layered serum upon lotion like she was fighting principalities and powers. But the more she rubbed, the angrier Kome's skin became. Sleepless nights continued. By second week, Kome was scratching herself raw, crying as if she came into the world to announce protest. Nights turned to marathon concerts. Ibire sat on bathroom floors, baby in her lap, sobbing. "Why can't I fix this? Skin is my job. This is what I do. I should know what to do." Tonye, tired eyes like red tomato sellers at myself, crouched beside her. This is because, this is not content, this is real life. This is Kome, your baby. See that line? That line deserves award. But did Ebire hear? No. Influencer pride is louder than wisdom. Tonya would pace the parlor, singing old gospel songs like Weary Choir Master. Meanwhile, Kome cried so much the neighbors started gossiping. That Madame Glow's baby. She dey vex so. Now what? Maybe all those Oyebo creams don't spoil the pikin. Ibiri tried to cover the drama with carefully edited reels. She posted one video, soft background music, captioned Day 7 Newborn Baby Care Tips. But the internet, fear who no fear internet now. Followers zoomed screen till you could see eczema patches clearer than Lagos potholes. "Madam, stop all these products you're using on this baby. Please see a doctor." She looks uncomfortable. Too much luxury on baby skin. Madness. One rival influencer, Tasha, even posted shady reel, her own baby in plain cotton onesie. Caption, sometimes the best care is no care. Lagos internet clapped for her like thunder. Tell them, mama, preach simplicity. Brands started ghosting Ibire. One French brand paused contract politely. We will revisit when baby is more settled. Translation, your child has disgraced our product. Ibire broke down. She tried to record private apology video but mistakenly pressed go live. In 30 seconds, over 5,000 followers saw her crying, baby wailing. Tonya walked in to collect Kome. Screenshots everywhere, blogs, headlines, Madam Glow in tears. That same week, hope came, not from Instagram, not from a cream or product, but from a knock. Tonya opened the door. Outside stood an older woman in wrapper and blouse, a silver hair tiled back neat. Good evening, she said gently. Sorry to disturb. My name is Madame Pearl. I stay at Flat C. I'm a retired pediatric nurse. I've been hearing your baby's night cries. I don't want to intrude, but I also don't want to be a neighbor who watches a mother drown. Before Ibire could protest, Madame Pierre washed her hands, carried Kome like she was handling an egg, and hummed one low Ijo lullaby. Immediately, baby's cries softened a little. This baby's skin is shouting, Madame Pierre said calmly. Not because she's cursed, because she doesn't need all these things you're using on her. Babies don't want jazz. They want the old and boring. Boring? Ibire frowned, still sniffing. Yes, just use warm water on her face. Don't put any fragrance. Just short baths. Pat it dry, then apply plain shea butter on her body. Then wear her cotton clothes. Cut her nails and you will rest. Pride pricked Ibire like pepper in eye. She wanted to argue but her strength had finished. She whispered, Madam, please teach me. Within 1 week of following Madame Perry's boring routine, Kome's skin began to calm. She wasn't flawless, but it was less irritating. She slept longer stretches. One morning, Ibire woke up and realized the house was quiet. She cried, not influencer tears, but deep belly sobs. Tonya hugged her. We are learning slowly, aren't we? And just like that, the woman who thought she could buy glow with bottles began to see lessons. Sometimes, the strongest solution is the simplest one. Because truly, if you rub 10 creams and baby still cries, maybe the answer is not in the bottle. By the end of that month, if you enter the Ibire's house, you will not even believe this was once the showroom of creams. That fine baby shelf she arranged then was now empty. Only one jar of shea butter sat there like last man standing. Beside it, small tubs of emolument and one folded wrapper always ready for back tying. The ring lights, she had packed it away in a carton where tripod once stood, Pampers now piled. Where pastel bottles used to shine, baby clothes were drying on the line. If it was before, Ibire would have fainted, but now she just breathed in peace. One evening as she rocked Kome, she told Tonya, I used to think my glow was in bottles, but now I see. It was never product. It was me learning, me failing, me surviving. That's actually the real glow. Tonya kissed her forehead. Finally, my wife is back. The funny thing, the internet did not forget. After that unfiltered confession reel, followers returned like prodigal children. Comments flooded. Please, which soap is safe for babies? Please, my sister's child has the same wahala. What can we do? Help us, please. Talk about sleep deprivation. Oh, we have suffered here too. Ibire could have brushed them off, but something inside her had shifted. She no longer wanted to perform. She wanted to connect. So, one afternoon, she prepped her full unfolded wrappers. No filter, no light, no satin robe, just her cotton gown. Kome was across her lap in plain onesie, cheeks parched but calm. "Hi everyone," she began softly. "This is not tutorial, not campaign. This is me being plain. I can't promise you perfect skin, but I can promise you are not alone." She showed basket of cotton clothes. She showed her the body soap she was using. She even hummed one line of the Ijolula Mama Pearl taught her. Then she smiled and said, "This is my new influencer. Oh." She sets the shadow. She decides the content. That video blew like harmattan fire. Not because it was published, but because it was real. Mothers tagged each other. "Come and hear our story being told." Even fathers confessed. "Ah, I thought my wife was exaggerating. Now I understand." Then one evening, she received an email that shook her. It was an invitation to a motherhood and mental health conference in Abuja. They wanted her to speak. Ibiri almost fainted. "Me? I don't have anything to say. Oh, I'm just surviving with Kome." Tonya looked at her. Do you know how many women want to hear exactly that? So she packed one plain white kaftan and Kome's clothing. When she walked on stage, the hall was quiet, not because of glamour, but because of recognition. She took a deep breath. "My name is Ibiri. I thought I was queen of glow. I thought I knew everything about skincare, but motherhood stripped me naked. My daughter Kome rebuilt me. She taught me that glow is not about brand or products. Glow is about the simple things." She spoke of shame, of sleepless nights, of arrogance of creams, of kindness of one neighbor who knocked when she was drowning. Tears even came. She didn't hide them. She let them stand as part of the message. When she finished, applause rose like thunder. Women stood clapping, some with tears. One hugged her, whispering, "I thought I was cursed. Now I know I'm not alone." Backstage, who was waiting? Mama Pearl. She had traveled from Lagos to Abuja. She hugged her tight and whispered, "You see, humility builds bridges." Kome's name was prophecy. She came to build you again. Back in Lagos, something else shocked her. Tasha, that same rival who shaded her, sent her a voice note. "I used to mock you, but respect, Ibiri. You made me see motherhood differently. I want us to collaborate, not for brands or products, but as mothers." Ibiri listened twice before replying. Collaboration is welcome, but it has to be real. And so, for the first time, two rivals sat together on live sessions, laughing at their past pride, sharing midnight cry stories, split up stands, and pap disasters. The hashtag Real Glow trended for days. At home, Kome was still Kome. Some nights she slept, some nights she screamed like town crier. But Iberi no longer panicked. She knew which cry meant hunger, which cry meant she had irritation, which cry meant she needed to be sang a song. Tonya whispered one night, "Do you realize you used to chase followers? Now followers chase you." Iberi smiled, cheek pressed to Kome's head. "Maybe because I finally stopped performing and just started being." Weeks later, when Kome turned 6 months, Iberi posted a picture, no ring lights, no edits, just her baby sitting in plain wrapper, drooling happily. The baby's skin still carried patches, faint marks of the struggles they had been fighting together. The baby was not flawless, not Instagram perfect, but the skin was calmer now, healing and honest. Tonya reached for his phone. He scrolled back to the first one he had taken weeks ago, when mother and child had both been battling, crying, chaos everywhere. He placed the new photo beside it. On impulse, he opened the folder and gave it a new name. The first he had called My House, but this one, he paused and smiled before typing. The glow that stayed, because it was clear now. Not all glow came from creams or brands or products. Some glow shows up in survival. Some glow hides in parched cheeks and tired eyes. Some glow are born from simple, ordinary, tender loving care. Kome didn't come to be a brand ambassador. She came with her eczema, her cries and her tiny rashes, not to disgrace her mother, but to rebuild her. And in that moment, Tonya understood. This was the glow that hardship could not take away. the glow that would last. That morning, Lagos was loud. Yellow buses honked as if the horn was part of the steering. Hawkers shouted the prices of gala and bottled water. In the middle of the entire noise stood Harbour Care Hospital, a tall building with glass walls that reflected the sun like a mirror. Inside the hospital, the air was cold, almost too cold, the kind that made visitors hug their arms. Doctors and nurses moved fast in white coats, carrying files, pushing trolleys, calling out test results. Among them was Dr. Nike Adeniyi. She was in her early 30s, slim, always walking with quick steps, as if time itself was angry with her. Nike had a round face that looked kind, and her eyes had a way of making even the sickest person feel seen. Patients liked her because she didn't just ask, "Where is the pain?" She would sit by their beds, hold their hand and say softly, "Tell me how you feel. Start from the beginning." But not everybody liked her. In the same hospital worked Dr. Kule Adeboyo. Kule was tall, dark, and always dressed like he had just stepped out of a magazine. He loved to wear new suits under his lab coat, his shoes always shining. Unlike Nike, Kule didn't spend much time with patients. He believed in big cases and big people. He was always around politicians, businessmen and rich clients who wanted private checkups. He had a gift for talking, smooth, charming, always praising the chairman and the board members. If Nike was known for compassion, Kule was known for connection. From the very first day, they did not get along. It wasn't that they shouted at each other or fought openly, no. Their rivalry was quieter, like two people always measuring who was taller without using a ruler. One Monday morning, during ward rounds, a patient named Mama Ifoma was admitted for severe chest pain. She was an old woman, not wealthy. Her wrapper faded from years of washing. Nike stood by the bed, looking at her chart. "We should move her to the high dependency unit for closer monitoring. Her blood pressure is unstable." Kule, who had joined the round late, shook his head. "No, we can manage her here. We need that bed for a paying client coming this afternoon. I already told admin no." Nike's eyes narrowed. She could collapse if we leave her here. Kule gave a small smile, the kind that never reached his eyes. "Nike, we both know resources in this hospital are limited. The hospital survives on those VIPs, not on people like her. Let us be realistic now." The nurses shifted uncomfortably. They respected both doctors, but they could feel the tension. Nike bent down, touched Mama Ifoma's head and spoke in Igbo. "Mama, Eweliwe, we will not leave you here. You will get proper care." Mama Ifoma smiled faintly, whispering, "Chukwu goziegi, God bless you, my daughter." Then Nike straightened and faced Kunle. "If something happens to her here, can you live with that?" Kunle's smile dropped for a second. Then he shrugged. "If you want to carry her there, then write it in your name. I will not sign you." Nike signed. They moved Mama Ifoma upstairs. Later that week, the old woman recovered well enough to walk with a stick before she was discharged. She prayed for Nike in front of other patients. Nurses whispered, "This Dr. Nike, she's different." Kule heard those whispers too. And though he smiled, inside, he burned. Weeks later, during a departmental meeting, the chairman asked for new ideas to improve the hospital services. Nike raised her hand. "Sir, many of our patients complain about hidden charges. If we can create a system where bills are clearly explained, they will trust us more. People are scared of coming to private hospitals because they fear being cheated." Some nurses nodded. Even the finance secretary scribbled a note. Kule cleared his throat loudly. "With all due respect, that is not the direction. This is a premium hospital, not a market store where they sell crayfish and pepper. Transparency is fine, but let's not reduce our brand to negotiating prices. What we need is better publicity and more connections with high net worth individuals." The chairman nodded thoughtfully. "Publicity is important, but transparency is also important." Kule quickly added, "Sir, we cannot afford to look cheap. People want prestige when they come in here." The meeting ended without a decision, but as they left, Kule leaned close to Nike and whispered, "You always want to play Mother Teresa. This is Lagos. not charity. If people want charity, they know where to go to. Nike looked at him calmly. Prestige without trust is empty now. He smirked. Does trust pay the bills? Trust doesn't pay bills. And with that, their quiet war continued. The real storm came on a Wednesday morning. The news spread like Harmattan fire. A governor's brother collapsed mid-flight. He was being rushed straight from the airport to Harbour Care. The hospital was in chaos. Security tightened. Admin called for consent forms. Nurses prepared oxygen. The MD himself stood in the lobby waiting. Nike was on duty that day. She quickly put on her gloves, ready to receive the patient. Kule arrived moments later, holding his phone, already calling people. Yes, he's in good hands. Don't worry, we are managing him. The patient was wheeled in, sweating, gasping, his wife crying beside him. Nike bent low, listening to his chest. His pulse was weak. Where is the file? She asked. It's still without me, ma, the nurse said nervously. Nike frowned. We can't wait now. If we delay, we will lose him. Kule raised his hand like a traffic warden. Hold on. Nike, consent has not been signed. We must protect ourselves. Nike snapped. Protect ourselves? While a man dies? Kule smiled politely. If you rush and do something wrong, the hospital will carry scandal. Do you want that on your name? Nike glared at him. Life first. She turned to the nurses. Prep theater now. And that was the moment. The choice that would later turn into the biggest scandal of her life. The emergency room felt like the air itself was trembling. Nurses rushed with gloves snapping against their wrists. The sound of metal trays clattering echoed against the tiled walls. The smell of disinfectant filled the room so sharply it almost stung. Nike bent over the governor's brother, her eyes scanning the monitor. His pulse was weak, his chest struggling with every breath. Scalpel ready, she said firmly, though her heart was pounding. One of the nurses hesitated. Doctor, consent form has not been signed though. Nike lifted her head, her eyes were steady, but her voice rose just enough for everyone to hear. If we wait for paper, this man will be dead before ink touches it though. Let's prepare him now. Kule stepped forward smoothly, his lab coat swishing as if he had rehearsed the moment. Don't be necklace, Nike. If you cut him open without consent, the hospital will carry scandal. This family can sue us. The media will eat us alive. Nike turned on him, anger flashing in her eyes. And if I don't, the man dies right here. What will we tell the family then? That we watched him die because we are afraid of headlines? The patient's wife fell to her knees, her voice breaking. Please save my husband. I will sign anything. Just save him, please. Nike nodded quickly. Get the forms to her. Let her sign while we begin. Kule hissed under his breath. You think the board will clap for you for all this, Abi? You think they will clap for you after this? Nike ignored him. She put on her mask and gloves. The theater doors swung shut behind them. The bright light above the operating table burned hot against Nike's forehead. Sweat trickled beneath her mask, but her hands did not shake. She guided the instruments carefully, her voice calm as she entrusted the nurses. Clamp here. Steady. Suction, please. Good. He's stabilizing. His pulse is rising. Kule stood by the corner, arms crossed, not helping, not leaving, just watching with a small smile that no one could read. Minutes passed like hours. Then finally, the monitor beeped steadily. The governor's brother was alive, saved by Nike. Nike stepped back, her shoulders sagging with relief. She pulled off her gloves, her face damp, her spirit tired but thankful. The patient's wife rushed to her as soon as they wheeled him out. She grabbed Nike's hands, tears flowing. Doctor, God bless you. God bless you. You saved him. You saved my husband. Nike smiled weakly. Madam, it's my duty. But across the room, Kule's eyes were already calculating. By evening, whispers filled the hospital corridors like harmattan wind. Nurses in small groups spoke in low tones. Some said Nike was a hero. Others worried she had broken the rules. Board will not like this, oh, one cleaner muttered as she wiped the floors. They should not like it, another replied. Didn't she save the man's life? Abi rules are more important than human beings' life. But gossip is like smoke. Once it starts, it spreads. By the next morning, words has twisted. She acted without permission. She endangered the hospital. What if the man had died? What do you want the hospital to look like? And behind most of those whispers was Kunle dropping his lines carefully like poison in water. 2 days later, Nike was summoned. The board sat around a long table. Men in suits, women in sharp Ankara jackets, faces stiff with importance. The hospital's logo hung on the wall like a judge watching. Nike walked in. Her steps firm, though her stomach twisted inside. The chairman cleared his throat. Dr. Adeniyi, we have heard reports about your recent actions during the emergency involving Governor Chime's brother. Please, tell us exactly what happened. Nike explained everything, her voice calm, her eyes reaching each of theirs. If I had delayed, the patient would have died. Yes, the consent form was not signed yet, but his wife agreed verbally in front of witnesses. In medicine, time is life. There was silence. Then, Kunle leaned forward smoothly. With respect, Chairman, that is not the issue. The issue is reputation. Imagine if this patient had died under her knife without signed consent. The lawsuit would bury this hospital. We would lose investors. Staff would lose jobs. She gambled with all our lives here. The board members murmured. Some nodded, some frowned. Nike felt her chest tighten. It was not a gamble. It was saving a life. Kunle pressed on. No, doctor, it was disobedience. We have protocols here. Without them, we are not a hospital. We are a butcher's shop. Gasp rippled around the room. Nike's hands curled into fists, but she forced her voice steady. You call saving a dying man butchery? Then maybe you should not be in medicine. The chairman raised his hand. Enough! We will deliberate. Nike was asked to step outside. She sat in the corridor, hands cold, eyes staring at the tiled floor. Nurses passed by, glancing at her with pity. She heard muffled voices behind the doors, Kunle's smooth tone carrying louder than the rest. Minutes later, the doors opened. Dr. Adeniyi, the chairman said, his face blank. We appreciate your years of service, but after reviewing the case, the board has decided to terminate your appointment effective immediately. The words landed like stones in her chest. Terminate? Her vision blurred. For a second, she thought she would faint. Kunle stepped past her, whispering low so only she could hear. I told you, Nike, Lagos will not forgive you. No hospital will hire you again after this kind of disgrace. Nike's eyes burned, but she refused to cry in front of him. She held her bag tightly, straightened her shoulders, and walked out of the hospital. The glass doors behind her, and with them, the life she had built. Lagos had a way of forgetting people quickly, but it also had a way of remembering them in whispers. After Nike left Aboke, her name floated in the air like dust after a storm. People pointed, they gossiped, they judged. In the corridors of the hospital where she once walked with pride, her shadow became a warning. Don't be like Dr. Nike. She thought she was smarter than protocol. Even her neighbors whispered. Some pitied her, others mocked. Big Madam Doctor with them sack. For a time, she carried shame like a wrapper tied too tight around her waist. It was heavy. It was uncomfortable. But life, as Lagos teaches, does not stop because one person's name is stained. Nike began to work in small community clinics, the type with no air conditioner, just noisy ceiling fans that squeaked as if they would fall at any moment. The walls were cracked, the beds had rust on the legs, and the medicine cupboard was never full. There, she treated children with swollen bellies from kwashiorkor, mothers shivering with malaria, and old men with blood pressure so high that their veins stood out like ropes. Patients brought farm produce to thank her. Basket of tomatoes, tubers of yam, sometimes just granules wrapped in nylon. Nike accepted them all with a smile. Though sometimes her tears fell quietly at night. It was far from the glamorous life she once knew. But in those humble clinics, she found meaning again. One day, while she was finishing her shift, a black SUV pulled up. From it stepped a woman in a navy blue suit, polished and confident. She introduced herself as a representative of Grace Bridge Health Group. My mother told me all about you, the woman said warmly. She told me she's never seen a doctor so kind and humane. We are looking for more hands in Gracebridge, and we believe you are the kind of person we need. Nike blinked. Me? Why me? Haven't you heard about me? Haven't you heard about my scandal? The woman smiled. We don't see scandal from that story. We see a courageous woman, a woman who cares more about life than pride. And that is exactly why we chose you. That day marked a new beginning. Nike joined Gracebridge. First as a clinic head, then as a manager. Her reputation rebuilt itself slowly, like a house rising brick by brick. From one clinic, it became 3 and then 5. Politicians began to invite her for private consultations. Nurses prayed for her. Patients mentioned her name with blessings. And all the while, she never forget what Kunle had said. You will never rise again. 3 years later, news broke. Gracebridge was merging with Harbour Care, the very hospital that had humiliated Nike. Kunle celebrated the news in his own circle, already imagining the title on his business card. He was the assistant chief medical director at Harbour Care and believed that with the merger, he was next in line for elevation. Rumors swelled that the CMD was retiring and Kunle had already started lobbying board members. Meanwhile, one morning while Nike was doing her rounds, a message popped out on her phone. Congratulations, you've been made the chairman of the Gracebridge Harbour Care Group. Nike couldn't believe her eyes. That day in the hospital, everyone hailed her, Madam Chair! Madam Chair! She smiled gently at everyone, but she didn't gloat. However, every Wednesday, Nike drove out of Lagos to a small village at the outskirts where she offered free medical services. The place was humble, a low building with peeling paint, a waiting bench outside made from rough wood, and a small pharmacy with bottles stacked like old soldiers. The nurses worked with devotion, even when they lacked supplies. On one particular Wednesday, as she adjusted her white coat and greeted patients, she heard a commotion outside. Car horns, loud laughter, the screech of tires. A convoy of cars pulled up. Men in suits jumped out, followed by a camera crew carrying tripods and ring lights. At the front was Kunle. He wore agbada with embroidery shining like gold. His head lifted as if the ground was too low for him. Nurse! He boomed as he entered. Prepare the shots. I want pictures while I examine the patients. You know how these NGOs like to see evidence. Nike froze when she heard his voice. She turned slowly. Is that not Kunle? The nurse, excited, shouted, Dr. Nike, you're welcome. Kunle's smile faltered. His eye fell on her, standing by the bedside of a child. For a moment, silence filled the air. Then he laughed. A laugh that carried mockery. So, this is where you are now, he said, loud enough for his entourage to hear. I told you, didn't I? I told you that after that disgrace, you will never rise again. And see, this small place, it fits you. Village hospital, peeling paint, ceiling fan older than the patients. The cameraman chuckled nervously. Some of the nurses looked away in shame. Nike said nothing. She just touched the boy's forehead gently, focusing on the patient, not on Kunle. But Kunle wasn't done. He straightened his agbada and stepped closer. Well, as for me, life has smiled. Harbour Care is crowning me the chief medical director on Saturday. A golden title. You should come. You need to come. Come and see big things firsthand. How big people do their things. Maybe you will learn one or two about how success truly works. His entourage clapped lightly, laughing at his joke. He turned and posed for the cameras, acting like he hadn't just poured acid into an old wound. Nike didn't answer. She just smiled quietly, wiped the sweat from her patient's brow, and whispered, Don't worry, my dear. You'll be fine. But in her heart, she knew Saturday would not end the way Kunle imagined, because she had gotten the note of the mega party, of the merger of Gracebridge and Harbour Care that will be holding on that same day. Meanwhile, before that meeting with Nike, Kule's journey was already having cracks. He was known for cutting corners. If a patient couldn't pay, he delayed treatment. If a contractor promised him, "Doc, something there on the inside," he signed the deal quickly. Nurses whispered about the shortcuts he forced, but what you cover in the dark will one day stand in broad daylight. Still, Kule walked tall and proud. He boasted to his friends in bars, "You know that our Dr. Nike, she is finished now. Me, I am the future of herbal care. Very soon, they will crown me the chief medical director. Watch out." And then, after he saw her again at that local village hospital, in his eyes, she looked small, dressed simply, holding paracetamol. He didn't know she was the storm about to return, and he had invited her to his coronation, thinking it will crush her. But that night at a cool hotel, life turned the stage into a theater of justice. Kule walked into a cool hotel that night, dressed like royalty. His abada was white and wide, embroidered with gold threads that shimmered under the chandeliers. Photographers clicked as he waved like a politician in his mind. The coronation had already happened. Tonight was just the celebration. He stood at the podium, chest high, voice booming. "Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we celebrate the future of healthcare in Lagos." And then, movement at the back of the hall. At first he didn't notice, but the murmurs grew, spreading like ripples in water. Heads turned, phones lifted. A soft gasp traveled from row to row. Kule frowned. What is distracting them now? I am the center tonight. Then he saw her, Nike Hadeniyi, dressed simply in a navy gown, escorted by directors and board members. They weren't walking her to a seat in the audience. They were walking her to the front. His smile faltered. For a moment, the light felt too hot. His abada suddenly heavy. He tried to laugh to cover the tremor in his chest. What is she doing there? Why is she with the board members? And why are security men all around her? Bloggers typed furiously. A woman whispered loudly, "Is that no Dr. Nike? The one from Herbal Care?" Another voice followed. "No, she's Madam Chie now." The words hit Kule like blows to the chest. Chie, as in chairwoman. His hands tightened on the microphone. His prepared speech about the future CMD burned in his heart. He forced a smile. "We are honored to have Dr. Nike join us tonight," he stammered. His voice cracked on her name. Nike stepped onto the stage with the calm of someone who had nothing left to prove. She didn't glance at him. She faced the crowd, lifted the microphone and spoke slowly, gently. Her words weren't grand, but they were steady. "Without life, there is no hospital. Titles don't save patients. Compassion does." The hall erupted. Applause thundered. Bloggers rushed to applaud. Cameras flashed so hard the chandelier seemed to flicker. Kule's legs felt weak. He clutched the podium for balance, his ears ringing as the cheers washed over him, not for him, but for her. In that instant, the gala he thought would crown him became the night Lagos crowned someone else. Kule left a cool hotel with his smile frozen like wet paint that refused to dry. Cameras had caught every second. The tremor in his voice, the way Nike's calm words drowned his own. In the parking lot, he waved at a few familiar faces, but their eyes slid past him, already searching for someone else. Inside his SUV, the silence pressed heavy. His driver asked softly, "Are we going home, sir?" Kule snapped, "Where else?" The road back to Ikoyi felt longer than usual. Every honk, every street light, every billboard seemed to mock him. He scrolled through his phone, desperate for comfort, but instead, his screen was filled with hashtags. Hashtag Madam Chair, hashtag Nike returns, hashtag the chairman who? One clip replayed endlessly, Nike saying, "Without life there is no hospital." The crowd applause thundered through the tiny speakers of his phone, each clap striking his chest. By the time he reached his flat, His agbada felt like a costume he had stolen. He yanked it off and tossed it on the chair, pacing like a caged lion. In the mirror, his reflection smacked cruelly back at him, as if to say, "You invited her yourself. You wrote your own disgrace." Kunle opened WhatsApp. His usual groups, politicians, contractors, colleagues were buzzing, but not with his name. Screenshots of Nike's speech flew everywhere. Memes already mocked him. CMD that no sabi him boss dey hall. Na boss of himself he be. He typed, deleted, typed again. Finally, he dropped his phone on the bed. His chest rose and fell like a man fighting invisible hands. Sleep refused him. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every single detail. The way the directors worked with her, the way bloggers abandoned his speech mid-sentence, the way her calm voice filled the hall like music. For the first time in years, Kunle felt really small. Not because Nike had insulted him, but because she didn't need to. Lagos had already chosen sides. By dawn, his eyes were bloodshot. He sat by the window as the city stared awake, whispering to himself, "Hi, they will remember this thing tomorrow. People move on fast." But deep down he knew the truth. Some nights are too loud to be forgotten, and Echo Hotel had turned his crown into ashes. Few weeks after that disgrace at Echo Hotel, Kunle had another chaos. A young patient, daughter of a market woman, died because Kunle insisted on a deposit before treatment. The woman cried outside the hospital gate until passers-by recorded her. The video went viral. "He say no money, no treatment. Now my only child though." The clip spread like wildfire. People remembered the gala. They remembered Nike's words, "Without life, there is no hospital." And they began to compare. Soon after, an audit report leaked. Kunle had signed inflated contracts, taking kickback from suppliers. Anonymous staff dropped emails to journalists. Within weeks, his clean agbada was stained with scandal. The board called an emergency meeting. Unlike Nike's day, there was no long debate. By the end of the week, Kunle's appointment was terminated. While Kunle's name filled gossip blogs with disgrace, Nike's face filled the papers with respect. She was shown opening new clinics, launching outreach programs in the villages, cutting ribbons beside governors. She never mentioned Kunle, not once. One evening, as she sat in her sitting room eating okra soup, her mother smiled softly. "My daughter, I told you, God fights for the one who keeps clean hands. See now, you didn't drag that your colleague Kunle. Look how life has dragged him himself." Nike nodded. Her heart quiet. She wasn't rejoicing, but she felt peace. Alone in his flat one evening, Kunle scrolled through his phone. His WhatsApp groups were full of silence. Friends had stopped replying him. One even removed him. He saw his own name trending again. CMD of shame. He dropped the phone and buried his face in his hands. The same people that once praised him had now turned away. Pride had carried him high. Karma had pulled him down without Nike lifting a finger. At a dinner weeks later, Nike was asked to speak again. Cameras flashed. Reporters leaned forward. She looked out over the crowd, her voice steady. "We often forget in Lagos that titles are not crowns. Crowns are given by people you serve, not by board members or newspapers. If we use our hospitals to chase money, we will bury more lives than we save. But if we use hospitals to serve, our names will live longer than marble walls." The hall clapped, not because of her gown, not because of her chairwoman title, but because truth has a sound that cuts through noise. Far away, Kunle sat in darkness, watching the clip on his cracked phone. His chest ached, but he knew it was over. After the gala, Nike grew even more popular. She drove to her new office early every morning, where staff greeted her with respect. Her name was spoken as an example. Patients came to her clinic and said, "Madam Chair, we came because we trust you." Mothers held her hands with tears in their eyes, saying, "You saved our children. You gave us dignity." Politicians, businessmen, investors flocked to Grace Bridge Harbour Care, not because she begged for favors, but because her reputation was too strong to ignore. But Nike herself remained humble. She didn't start wearing the biggest lace to prove anything. She didn't throw parties to rub her success in anyone's face. She held seminars and trainings quarterly in the hospital. And she told them, never let protocol make you forget compassion. Save life first. That's more important. Her peace wasn't in the spotlight. It was in knowing her journey had meaning. For Kunle, the days turned long and heavy. After the board terminated his appointment officially, his house, his cars were all taken away from him. And then, his house that was once full of guests and laughter grew quiet. His abadas remained iron, but unused. The friends who used to call him my CMD stopped picking his calls. Politicians who once invited him to parties now acted like they didn't know his number. Even nurses who once feared him began to mutter behind his back when he came around the hospital. His own mother confronted him one evening. "Kunle, I warned you," she said, her voice trembling. "Pride is a bad companion. You always used to favor only the wealthy. Now see, what will you tell your children?" Kunle had no answer. He just sat, staring at his hands, wondering how everything had slipped away. Months later, at a medical conference in Abuja, Kunle saw Nike again. She was standing with ministers, journalists, and foreign investors, smiling calmly as she spoke about expanding healthcare access. He hesitated before approaching. When she noticed him, she didn't look away. She simply nodded politely, the way one greets an old classmate. "Congratulations," he said quietly. His voice cracked. She smiled faintly. "Thank you." There was no anger in her eyes, no gloating, just distance, like someone who had crossed a river and no longer feared the flood. Kunle felt smaller than he ever had. Not because she insulted him, but because she didn't need to. Life had already done the work. In Lagos, the story of Nike and Kunle became a parable. People repeated it in markets, in churches, in offices. "Don't mock anybody, oh. See Kunle and Nike." One was fired, the other was rising. Whenever a young doctor doubts herself after a mistake, someone says, "Remember Nike." Kunle faded into quietness. His story became a warning. Nike, on the other hand, built hospitals, trained doctors, and became a living proverb. Truth never dies. Compassion never loses. She never raised her voice to clear her name. She just kept walking, and life itself became her microphone. Because life has a way of balancing itself. And that's the end of September's ride, from the funny to the dramatic, from the outrageous to the deeply touching. Every story had its own lesson, and every one of you made it more special with your comments and reactions. Thank you so much for staying with me till the very end. October is coming, and I promise you, the stories waiting ahead will keep you laughing, thinking, and maybe even crying a little. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And in the comments, tell me which September story made you laugh, cry, or shake your head the most. I can't wait to hear from you. Until next time, stay well, stay strong, and keep listening. See you in October. Bye.